Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the Victoria Beckham Beauty line. This is brand new, very highly anticipated, at least by yours truly. I loved the Victoria Beckham Estee Lauder collaborations that came out. She did 2 collections with them. Admittedly, I liked the first one a lot more than I liked the second one, but there were definitely pieces in the second one that I really, really loved. So she's come out with her own line, and I was really hoping for some face and cheek products because I really loved what she did with Estee Lauder. I loved the bronzers that she did. The highlight, I think, was an Estee Lauder one, but you know, she pulled it in for her line, the Modern Mercury. And I loved like her lip products, but I did also like her eye products. And so that's what she has started with this line of hers. She's only released some eyeshadows, some potted eyeshadows, and some eyeliners. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be showing you what I purchased, giving you some swatches of everything, giving you my thoughts on those things, and then I will show you a demo of this particular look. So I focused on the blue look, as you can see here, but I did purchase quite a few for other pieces. So let's start with the Smoky Eye Bricks, and these are basically the quads that she came out with. So she came out with 4 different colorways, and I purchased 3 out of the 4. Basically, the one that I didn't purchase was the very like warm toned, I think there was like a red in there. I skipped on that one, but let me show you the 3 that I did purchase. So they all came in a box like this. The packaging of each Smoky Eye Quad is like a business card size. So it's a little bit smaller than I thought, but the actual packaging is really beautiful and really weighty. This is like a metal, and it opens up with this like press in clasp, and there's this like kind of like faux tortoise shell effect on the cover. It's really, really beautiful, and I like the weightiness. And now that I've basically gotten over like the initial shock of how small these are, it's really a nice kind of compact size if you want to put in your purse or if you want to travel with it. I think it's actually really nice. And something I actually really enjoy about this case style, I guess you could say, the metal and this like press in button here that kind of pops the lid open. It reminds me of a cigarette holder, or at least maybe a cigarette holder that I used to have when I used to smoke, or cigarette case. And I don't know if that's what she was going for, but I thought that was very nostalgic in a way. Each one has a mirror on the inside. And so this is the first one that I got. This is Signature, and this is probably the most basic neutral one out of the 4 that she is offering. So here's some swatches of this Signature quad. And from left to right, we have Cami, Slip, Saddle, and Suede. And she calls these a satin matte eyeshadow, which I guess is actually a pretty good description for them, because when you look at them in the pan, they look like matte shadows with like a little bit of sparkle in there. But when you actually put them on the eye, I feel like the prominent sparkles kind of blend away, and you are left with this kind of like demi-matte, demi-satin kind of finish. So the best way I can describe it is that there's a very, very subtle satin finish to all of these shadows. And if you're curious, these shadows are made in the US. There's a 12-month shelf life once you open them, and there is a total net weight of 8.5 grams, 0.3 ounces. And I'm not always the biggest fan of shadows that kind of just run into each other. Basically, they're just in one gigantic pan. They're not in 4 individual pans. And these shadows are a little bit on the powdery side, so I think I would have preferred them in their individual pans. But so far, I don't really see much of a problem. And next up, we have Tuxedo. So here's what Tuxedo looks like. And then here are some swatches. From left to right, we have Blanc, Rain, Noir, and Fumé. And I think this one was the one I was most excited for. This is definitely, I feel like, one that I would wear quite often, especially in the fall and the winter time. And considering these are called Smoky Eye Bricks, I felt like this was the smokiest of them all, and I was definitely most excited for this one. And then last but not least, we have Royal, and this is like the bright blue one. And here are some swatches. From left to right, we have Creme, Denim, Marine, and Cerulean. So this makeup line is being touted as clean beauty. It's also being touted as cruelty-free. So I wanted to mention that. But I also wanted to mention that because when it comes to this particular quad, and only this one out of the 3 that I got, This has a very strange malodor. And because they're all mixed in, I'm not sure which color it is, or maybe it's all four of them, but these two have no odor, fragrance, scent, or anything to them. This smells very, very bad. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because it is clean beauty, so there aren't any, you know, fragrances in there or anything like that. It smells terrible. It smells like rotting ass. Anyway, moving on, I also purchased 3 of the lid lustres, and the lid lustres are eyeshadows that come in a pot. They come in a box like this, and these are made in Italy. They are 5 grams, 0.17 ounces each, and they have a 24-month shelf life once they're opened. I was surprised about that. That's longer than I thought. Anyway, here's the first color that I got, and I think my favorite. It is so beautiful. So here's Mink, and here is a swatch of Mink. Gorgeous. These are obviously very, very shiny, bright, glittery shades, and they are pretty much like a cream shadow. There's a little bit of crumbliness to it that makes you think that maybe they're like a powder to cream, but they really go on like a cream, and they're beautiful. Oh, and I didn't mention the packaging. So the packaging is beautiful. It has that kind of faux tortoise effect on the cap there, and then the actual jar is this like black glass, and they all come with this little stopper on top, which I would definitely hold on to. You know, the texture of these actually remind me of the Armani Eyes to Kill, so it has that kind of texture to them. And then next up is Midnight, and that is what I actually have on my eyes right now. So this is the blue one. It has a really beautiful like black base to it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And then last but not least, we have Onyx, which is like a metallic black. Again, another gorgeous color. And here's a swatch of Onyx. It's all the way on the right. So I'll mention this again after I do my demo, but I'm very curious about the wear of these lid lustres. So what I'm going to do is leave a pinned comment down below letting you know how this look wore, because I just did this before I started my intro. And so it's only been about maybe an hour, and so far it's fine. So far I don't feel like there's been any kind of like additional fallout. I don't feel like it's kind of like melting away or basically behaving strangely in any way. But I do want to wear this for the rest of the day, and I will let you know again down below in the comment section how this wore. So if you're curious, definitely look down there for a pinned comment, and I will let you know. And then last but not least, I got one of the Satin Kajal liners, and I got the color Bronze. I think she has quite a few of these liners, but I thought I would just start with one. This was made in Germany, and it has a 12-month shelf life after you open it. And here is a close-up of the pencil. It has like a sponge tip smudger at one end. And then here is a swatch of this bronze color. It is so, so beautiful. So when I did the demo of this eye look, I forgot to use this pencil. So I'm gonna use it right now for you. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tightline and use it in my waterline. This liner is super soft and super creamy. It doesn't take much to, you know, get it onto the lid. There's no dragging or anything. And again, I am very curious about the wear of this liner, so I will also leave information about the wear time and, you know, whether or not this smudge and all that kind of information about this liner down below in my pinned comment. So far, I love these lid lustres. I think they're absolutely beautiful. It went on very easily. There was very little fallout. I applied one side with my finger, I applied the other side with the brush, and both sides went on very nicely. I would definitely, and I feel like I just said this. Oh, I said this with the Hourglass Scattered Light Glitter eyeshadows. I would make sure to press this eyeshadow in before kind of blending it out or doing anything like that, because there is like a crumbly aspect to this formula. So I'd make sure to kind of press it in and kind of smear it in and make sure it's kind of like adhered to the lid before you start blending it out. And when I did that, that pretty much kind of guaranteed like very, very little fallout. So I am very, very happy with these so far. Like I said, I'll leave information on its wear time down below in that pinned comment. But to compare it to the Hourglass, I do think that these are a little bit creamier than the Hourglass. The Hourglass, I felt like even after I tapped it in and started to blend it out, it wasn't, I don't know, it's not like it was dry. It was just drier than this. This one is just creamier than the Hourglass. But they both blend out very nicely. So those are the lid lustres, and I really, really enjoy them. In terms of the Smoky Eye Bricks, so I only got to play with the Tuxedo one just a little bit, and that one was fine. I guess I have the same thoughts about all of them, that none of them really wowed me in its performance. And you'll see my demo, but when I used the Royal Eye Brick, I felt like I was kind of slowly blending the shades away, and that some of them were like a little bit patchy, and they could have been a little bit more pigmented. They could have been a little bit creamier. I don't mind a powdery shadow. In fact, I find those to kind of blend a little bit more easily, but I do feel like they need to be a little bit more pigmented. The color that I have the most trouble with, I think, is this gray color. I just felt like it was a little bit patchy, and I felt like it just kind of started to blend away. This dark navy color, I just didn't feel like was as pigmented as I wanted it to be, or, you know, the way it appears in here. In here, it looks like it's going to be, you know, like dark. And so I used that as a liner, and it just wasn't like, it just didn't have that like really, really dark, deep, ultra pigmented, like navy feel to it that I feel like it has when you look at it. The cobalt blue I thought went on very nicely. It was very, very bright, but again, I felt like as soon as I started to kind of blend it in towards the center of my lid, I could kind of see that it was starting to blend away a little bit. So I stopped at that point, and then, you know, and then I felt like the cobalt blue, the brightness was still there, but I sensed that it was going to start to kind of blend away. So without me just rambling on, let me go ahead and show you the demo, and I'll kind of like reiterate my thoughts about the Smoky Eye Bricks towards the end. So let's jump into the demo. All right, so we're going to start with the Royal Smoky Eye Brick. And I'm going to use my Sonia G Blender Pro brush, and I'm going to go into this nude kind of bone shade. And I just want to lay that down all over. So even though there's some shimmery bits in this shadow, I feel like if anything, it looks like kind of a demi matte, a very, very subtle satin. So for me, it works as like an all over kind of shade. With this same brush, I'm going to go into the next shade here. This is like the grayish blue shade. And I am going to slowly start to deepen up this eye look here, get ourselves to that point of smokiness, but slowly. I'm kind of a chicken when it comes to smoky eye looks. So I'm just adding that to my outer corner and into my socket line area. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is just bring this over to the middle section of my lid here. I'm gonna leave like the inner portion of my lid kind of bright with this lighter like bone colored shade. And then next I'm gonna grab my Sonia G Builder Pro brush, and I'm gonna go into the bright cobalt blue over here at the end. And I'm going to focus that on the outer corner of my eye here. And just sweep that in. I'm just taking an Isam S33 brush. I'm going back into this bone color and trying to brighten up this inner corner, inner portion of my lid. I'm going to take my Isam T05 brush. I'm going to go into the deepest shade here and use this to line my eyes. All right, so there's my finished eye look using the Smoky Eye Brick. So I don't think that these shadows perform quite as well as I had hoped. I don't think they're horrible, but I don't think that this like gray color, I don't think that blended very easily. I thought it was a little bit patchy. I thought it could have been a little bit better pigmented. Same with this super dark navy color. I don't find that it was exceptionally pigmented. When I was lining my eyes, I felt like I had to go back in with my brush quite a few times, and I don't normally have to do that with this brush and other matte deep colors that I use to line my eyes, like ones from Viseart, even some of the older Victoria Beckham Estee Lauder collaboration, her singles, I would use those to line my eyes, and they were very pigmented, lined my eyes very, very easily. But I felt like this was a little bit not quite as pigmented as I had hoped. The cobalt blue shadow, I think, is very pigmented. I think goes on very, very nicely. But as far as I can tell, just using this the one time, I do feel like the shadows kind of blend away a little bit. Like I felt like I was sitting there working them in because like this gray one was a little bit patchy, but I felt like there came a point where it was just kind of blending away. And so I was a little bit more careful with the cobalt blue. I kind of placed it down and I just sort of blended it in and stopped because I could tell that it seemed to get like a little bit less and less vibrant the more I went over it. So those are my thoughts on the Smoky Eye Brick. Now I want to go ahead and actually apply one of these lid lustres, and I have Midnight here, which is the blue one. And I want to go ahead and just kind of tap this on over what I've put down. So here is Midnight, and it is, and you can probably see it is quite crumbly. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my finger, and then I'm going to go ahead and just press this onto my lid. That is stunning. That is really gorgeous. I'm going to use my Crease 2 brush and just gently kind of press and swipe just to see if I can blend the edges out a little bit. I got some down here. This is not fallout. This was my fat fingered attempt at using my ring finger to apply the shadow. Gorgeous. I do feel like this lid luster just sort of like brought the entire eye look together, which is really, really nice. Look at that. It's stunning. So in hopes to try and avoid fat fingering this lid, I'm going to go ahead and use a brush. I'm going to use this Crease 2 brush and go right into the pot and see if this will work. If not, I may grab one of my builder brushes from Sonia G. But let's try this. Let's try this one and just see if this works. So I'm just kind of pressing it into the pot here. I'm going to tap off any kind of loose crumbles. And I'm just going to press this on to start. Really trying to avoid any major fallout here. I feel like I need a smaller brush. I'm going to go in with my Crease 1 and just try and get into that corner here. All right, well, so far I like these lid lustres a lot more than I like the Smoky Eye Brick. So what I'm gonna do is wear this makeup for the rest of the day, and I'm gonna leave a pinned comment down below just to let you know how it wore. All right, so I'm gonna finish up the rest of my look and I'll be right back. Here is my finished look. I will leave all the details of what I have on my face down below in my description box, as I usually try and remember to do. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.